Hello, my name is Luca Dell'Anna, and today I wanted to present 10 small actions you can take to reduce viral spread during a pandemic without sacrificing your social life. Of course, these actions might not be sufficient during the acute phases of the pandemic, but they are a relatively good and realistic compromise otherwise, especially if the alternative is to behave as if there wasn't any pandemic. So, the first action you can take to reduce spread is to prefer local. Meeting your friends at the local coffee shop rather than at the Starbucks in the city center exposes you to fewer people and therefore reduces your chances of getting infected and infecting others. The more people share a room and the more networks they belong to, the more the virus circulates. The second small action is to prefer upwave. Meeting people when there are many cases is riskier than meeting them when there are fewer cases. For example, think about the fact that COVID prevalence in the US was 60 times higher in January 2021 than it was in June 2020. Therefore, grabbing a coffee became 60 times riskier in January 2021 than it was in June 2020. So, consider delaying social encounters until the current wave tapers off. The third small action you can take is to prefer off-peak. Going to the restaurant or to the gym when they are the least crowded exposes you to fewer people and exposes fewer people to you. However, remember that if you go after the peak, some virus might still linger in the room if it is poorly ventilated. The fourth small actions you can take is to prefer ventilated. Meet people outdoors. If this is not an option, choose somewhere well ventilated and sit as far as possible from other tables. Wear masks before the food or drinks arrive and after having finished them. This reduces your risk and reduces the risk for others. The fifth small action is to protect your loved ones by being extra careful before meeting them. For example, the week before meeting grandma, consider skipping social encounters. One way to protect others is to be extra careful while meeting them, but another way to protect them is to be extra careful on the days before the meeting. The sixth small action is to minimize long-range travel. And if you do need to travel, make sure you do not contribute to spreading the virus far and wide by wearing high-grade masks and meeting fewer people indoors during the days leading up to the trip. The seventh small action is to wear well-fit, high-grade, comfortable masks. Help others find high-grade masks that are comfortable. Teach others how and when to wear them properly. If your mask is uncomfortable, you are doing it wrong. Just like shoes, you are meant to try different models and find one that is comfortable and fits you well. You cannot pretend that the first model you try is comfortable. The eighth small action you can take is to consider vaccinating. Vaccines reduce your chances of ending up at the hospital and therefore of applying pressure to the healthcare system. Evaluate your personal risk of severe COVID outcomes by taking into consideration your age, your health, your exposure, your social habits, and COVID prevalence in your region. The ninth small action you can take is to acknowledge that every bit matters. Even if you do not bring your risk of contracting COVID down to zero, lowering it is still important. Not only does it reduce your chances of getting a severe illness, but it also reduces the chances of you infecting your loved ones. And the 10th small action you can take is to acknowledge that every bit compounds. If you take 5 small actions that each lead to just a 1% reduction in infection risk, you reduced that risk by roughly 5%. That might seem small, but it compounds. If on week 1 there are only 95% of the infections that there would have been otherwise, on week 2 there will be 90% of the infections that there would have been otherwise, and fewer people were around spreading the virus. On week 3 there would be 85% of the infections, and so on. So even small bits might have a very big importance over time. So that was it from my side with 10 small actions you can take to reduce risk during a pandemic. You can find the information contained into this video also in written form on the website pandemic-questions.com, which also contains visually attractive flyers you can share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you very much.